Hello, everybody, and welcome back. As you're joining us, we're happy to have you with us for the first time or the second time or whatever time it is.
Yes, welcome or welcome back. Remy, this is Remy. I'm
Hello.
James. We were here yesterday covering basic first aid, and we're going to be continuing on that basic first aid and emergencies course from Heron Books. For any of you that are here now, when you signed up for this webinar, you would have gotten a registration confirmation email. In that email is a link to the book that we're covering, to the materials that we're going to be reading today, as well as the learning guide, the step-by-step checklist that walks you through the course with us. Accompanying us today is also Benjamin. He was our test subject yesterday, and you can see Benjamin's had some bandaging going on. He's going to continue to volunteer for us today. Thank you, Benjamin. All right.
Well, we're going to jump right into it. And the next section we're covering today is insect stings. So we'll get that up on your screen. And let's read through this. Most insect stings do not cause more than swelling and pain where the sting happened. In some cases, a person may have an allergic reaction to a sting. A person with an allergic reaction may have trouble breathing or swallowing, feel dizzy or faint, feel very itchy, get red blotches on his body. These are serious reactions and need fast medical attention. Many people who know they are allergic to bee stings carry a bee sting kit from their doctor. If this person was stung, you would help him use this kit first before you did anything else. Okay, now let's look at the situation. An insect sting, bee, wasp, hornet, ant, etc. First aid. If the person has a medical kit for stings, help him use it right away. If the stinger is still there, scrape it off or flick it off. Wash with soap and water. Optional, make a paste of baking soda and water and apply it to the sting area. That would be really convenient if you had baking soda nearby when you got stung, wouldn't it?
It'd be very convenient.
Yeah. This can make it less painful. Apply ice or a cold compress. If the person has trouble breathing or swallowing, is itchy or feels dizzy or faint, get medical help immediately. Okay, so let's run through that.
All right, I'm going to bring us back to full screen here. Excellent. All right, looks like Benjamin got stung by a bee.
Ooh, I see. And it looks like that stinger is not in there. That's good. So if it was, I would flick it off or scrape it off. Or if I had tweezers, that would be the most delicate way I could pull it out of there.
Yep.
But it's not, so that's good. So we're going to wash it with soap and water.
If the stinger's still in there, you can use something. I mean, I have a bit of like a cream packet here. It's got a pretty solid edge to it, and I could use that to gently try to scrape it off without working it further in, or a credit card or something like that.
All right. Good. So he's going to wash it. So just hold your head here for a sec.
Here's our sink. This is our imaginary sink.
Yeah, you understand there's water pouring down right now. So we just give that a nice little scrub. He keeps his bandages dry while he does that. And we don't have any baking soda nearby, it's a shame to say, but we do have an ice pack or a cold compress, as they call it. So he's going to put this on his ear for some time. And luckily he's not allergic, so he's not having any trouble breathing or extra itchy symptoms or anything like that. So he's just going to rest until his ear feels a little bit better.
Right. We are not going to talk about how you, like if someone does have a bee sting kit with them, we're not going to cover what to do with that, because that can be different from person to person. And you really want to follow those instructions that exist for that person from their doctor. All right, let's pop into the Q&A and a lot of people saying hello. All right, hello Holly, hello Gayatri, hello Adam. This is, there's so many people here. I love it. Excellent. Oh, that's bouncing around there. There we go.
Okay. What is a compress? Believe we answered that one, but it's this thing back here. We call them ice packs, but officially they're called cold compresses or hot compresses. To compress is to press something, so.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Okay. We're going to move on to the next topic here, and that is animal bites. I will take the pack. Thank you.
Yeah.
get that up there. All right, animal bites. Most mouths carry lots of germs. So when a person has been bitten, whether by an animal or a person, you have to be careful to make sure you handle the germs. If the nearby skin even begins to get puffy or red or looks like an infection may be starting, get medical help. If the bite is deep or is a puncture wound, even though it's from a pet, get medical help right away and don't wait for signs of infection. Don't take chances with animal bites. There is one more important danger to watch out for with animal bites. Sometimes mammals, such as dogs and cats, carry a deadly disease in their saliva called rabies. They can get it by being bitten by another animal that has it. Dogs and cats sometimes get rabies from wild animals like bats, skunks, and raccoons. To help prevent this, dogs are required to get shots every 2 to 3 years to protect them against rabies. There are also shots for cats, but they are not required. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rabies can make animals act in odd ways. So if a wild animal acts strangely, stay away from it. For example, skunks and raccoons don't usually stay around humans. But if one wanders into a backyard acting confused and angry, it's better to beware. If any mammal bites you, it is important to tell your parent or another adult right away. Bats can also carry rabies, so it is risky to touch a bat, even a dead one. If there is a bat that has gotten inside of a building and won't fly out, let an adult know or call animal control for your area. If rabies isn't treated, it will kill a person or animal that has it. So when a person is bitten by an animal, it becomes important to know if the animal has rabies. If you are bitten by a pet, your doctor and veterinarian can advise what to do. If it is a wild animal, there's a number to call by looking up local animal control for your area. You and an adult should let them know what happened and follow their instructions. So as it says there, rabies, if you get it and you don't treat it, it unfortunately will kill you. I was doing some research on this. There are 3 known cases where someone got rabies and was not treated for it with the right medicines and did recover. The good news is that we do know how to treat it. There are medicines for it, and the vast majority of people who get rabies and are treated for it recover, and they're totally fine. So you get bit, you let someone know. All right, so the situation presented in the book here is a person is bitten by a mammal, animal, or human, and the bite breaks the skin. First aid steps are to scrub the bite well with soap and water to remove saliva, apply antibiotic ointment, and cover with a bandage. For those of you who weren't with us yesterday, antibiotic ointment, anti means against, and biotic means living things. So it's against living things, against the small living things we call germs, to protect the big living thing that we call us. Okay, so get medical help if the bite is severe, is a puncture wound, or looks like it may be getting infected, if the animal is unfamiliar to you, if the animal behaves strangely, the animal that bit you disappears and can't be found, or the animal dies. Those are a lot of situations. If you get bit by anything, get help. All right. Okay, Benjamin.
My turn to assist.
What happened? Oh, you got bit. You got bit on your hand by a dog. All right. This is the neighbor's dog. Okay. Well, we should definitely let them know. Here, come on over here to the sink, and we're gonna rinse it. We're gonna wash it with. There's water coming down here, and we're gonna soap it up and rinse it with soap and water. Get it nice and clean. This part will be very familiar to us. It's kind of the first step to pretty much anything that's happening here. And then we will clean it off, and we will put the antibiotic ointment on it. Remy.
I was just about to ask you, James, why you hadn't put on gloves yet.
Well, you see, it is assumed that we would know how to do this. As a recap of, just to discuss briefly what we talked about at the beginning of our class yesterday, if you do have gloves, plastic gloves, latex gloves that you can use, you should definitely put them on before applying any first aid to anyone. If you do not have gloves, something like a plastic bag, like a plastic grocery bag that's clean, or a trash bag that has not been opened and used for trash yet, can be used. It, like these gloves, create a barrier between your hands and the person that you're working with, so you don't get any infection yourself. So we'll assume that I had these on the whole time. All right, and so we're going to put the antibiotic ointment on the bite there, and we're going to take this bite looks small enough. We're going to put a Band-Aid on this one.
Good
It's
call.
just a small bite. But by this point, we have gotten Benjamin's mom, and Benjamin's mom will talk to the neighbor and talk to the doctor so that we know what happened. And then the doctor can recommend whether they want Benjamin to come in and see him or not. Okay, Benjamin, there you go. Good job. Now, we did this several times yesterday. I'll do it again today. The proper procedure for taking off gloves. So I'm going to pinch the outside and pull it up over so that anything that was on the glove is now stuck inside of the glove. Ball it up in the other hand. You put 2 fingers under the glove there, and you can pull it up and over. This way, anything that was on the glove is now stuck inside the glove, and it will not get on your skin. When I'm done helping him, I'm going to wash my hands very well with soap and water.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see what you guys had to say. How would you know if the animal had rabies? Very important question.
Yes. If you're able to get the animal, if like animal control, your local animal control guys are able to come and capture that animal, they can test it to see if it has rabies. If it's someone's pet nearby, then they can test it for rabies. There's a little blood test that they can do. If you're not sure, or if you're not able to get the animal tested, or if you can't find the animal and they've run away, you just have to assume that they do. It's unlikely, but it's possible. And again, if you do get rabies and it's untreated, it's bad. If you get it and you do treat it, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. So let's see. Sometimes I get bit by my cat and nothing happens.
That's very good. Yes.
Well, I mean, probably your cat isn't biting you that hard in the same way that a wild animal or that a really skin puncturing wound would. So, I mean, maybe your cat is really mean and bites you really hard, but I don't know. My cat bites me sometimes too, but she doesn't puncture the skin in the same way that a dangerous bite would, you know? So the bites we're talking about here that are where you should seek medical help, or that might be rabies potentially, are deeper wounds where you get through a lot of the skin and to see some blood.
Yep, that's a good point. I really like this question. What if it was a horse? Milo, I have been bitten by a horse a couple of times, not on purpose. I was holding out an apple. They did not break, a couple of times they did not break my skin. There was no blood. One time there was some blood. I washed it off with soap and water. I bandaged it. I don't know if horses are something that you worry about with rabies. My bite was totally fine after that. If I had noticed any sign of infection, or if it was getting worse, or it kept hurting after a while, I definitely would have gone to the doctor. Luckily, it healed totally fine. Jackson asks, has anyone died from rabies? Unfortunately, yes, Jackson. If you do not get treatment for rabies, it is a very high chance that someone would die from it. As I said before, the good news is we know about rabies. There are medicines for it. Doctors know how to treat it. And people who get treated, almost all of them are totally fine afterwards. I'm very grateful for that.
So it's rare that you would get bitten, but if you ever do, in any case, by any animal, you should just go to a doctor and get yourself checked out just in case.
Yeah. Ariana asked, how is rabies treated? I would love to know the answer to that question.
Me too.
I don't know the answer to that. There's a medicine that they give you for it, but I don't know more than that. And I love that you guys are asking these kinds of questions. These are great questions. Never stop asking questions about stuff. Can a scratch from an animal give you rabies? My understanding, and from what it explains here, is that rabies are carried in the saliva. It's carried in the liquid in an animal's mouth. Animal scratches are not great. You do want to clean them, as we've been covering here. You want to get them bandaged. If there's any cause for concern, if the site gets red or puffy, do see a doctor about that.
Emma, sorry, Is it true that an animal has rabies? If an animal has rabies, its mouth foams. At a certain stage, yes, because they can have rabies for a long time, but it may not be that severe. But yes, near the ending, well, sorry to explain that so poorly, but at a certain stage of the rabies disease, yes, the animal's mouth will foam. So that is true.
Good. Alette asks, have you got rabies? No, I have not gotten rabies,
Me neither.
thankfully. And I do hope that I never do. But if I get bitten by an animal, thanks to this course, I now know how to address it. Okay, a lot of really good questions here. I'm afraid that I don't have time to get to all of them. We are going to move on to the next topic here. I'll pull that up for us.
Okay.
Something in your eye.
Yeah, something in the eye. Let's see. Well, or not. Sorry. A person's eyes can be easily damaged, so it is good to know what to do when an eye is hurt. When a person gets something in his eye, it can be very uncomfortable. Even a tiny piece of dust or an eyelash can cause a lot of pain. The person might want to rub his eye to make it feel better. This can cause more damage and is not a good idea. If a person gets something in an eye, you should deal with it carefully so that the eye isn't scratched or injured further. So the situation is something is in your eye or in someone's eye, in the eye. So the person should first try blinking his eye to get the object to come out naturally. If that doesn't work, try to wash it out with eye drops or a flow of water. You can also try very gently to get the object out of the eye with a corner of a gauze pad or a clean cloth. If these steps don't work, the person should get medical attention. Okay, so let's check that out.
All right. Here's Benjamin.
So he's got something in his eye. We can't quite see it, but we know it's there. So the first thing he's going to try doing is blinking to see if the object will come out naturally.
Good job, Benjamin.
Okay, we tried that, and that didn't quite work. Okay, so now we'll try and wash it out. So he's going to come and put his face either over a sink, like next to a faucet, or you can get a bottle of water. Or if you have, some sinks have eye wash stations, which are really useful. But for this case, we're just going to try and wash it out. And you notice we do it this way because whatever's in his eye, we want it to fall out and go down his face. If we did it this way, it might go down here and into his other eye. So if it's some kind of, yeah, if it's like a liquid or something that stings, we don't want that. But that worked. So we washed it out, or let's say it almost worked. Sorry.
It almost worked. There's still a
It's
little
not
bit in
quite,
there.
yeah. So we're just going to take a gauze pad and very gently see if we can pull this thing out of his eye, and we did. And there it is, and now it's gone.
That feels so much better. All right.
Okay.
Let's look at the next bit here.
All right. Next situation. Something stuck in the eye or the eye is scratched. So if an object doesn't come out easily or the pain persists, leave the eye alone and get medical care right away. It's pretty simple. It can be helpful to keep the eye closed so it does not become more irritated. To do this, you can cover the closed eye with a gauze pad and tape this in place. This also helps the person remember not to rub it. Okay, well, that's pretty simple. And if I read that right, it sounds like we're about to get Benjamin an eye patch.
Okay.
So he's got something in his eye and we just can't get it out. And he's okay, but he is in a little bit of pain. So we're going to take a gauze pad and put it over his eye. So we can keep it closed. Could you hold that there for a second?
All right. Now, do keep that eye closed, Benjamin. There we go. And we'll wrap this around a few times here.
Okay, now that will keep him comfortable, and so he's not itching the eye or rubbing it any more than he needs to.
That kind of squished his head there. Sorry about that, Benjamin.
A little bit. That's mostly fur, though. It's just like your hair. So
yeah.
He's all right.
Okay. Excellent. All right, and we're taking Benjamin to the doctor in this scenario.
That's right.
Yep.
I actually did have to go to the doctor once because I had something in my eye.
Ooh.
You wouldn't believe it. Yeah, I spent almost the entire night trying to get it out. We couldn't, so I had to go, and he had to spray it out. It was crazy. So it is a real thing.
Okay. And then they were able to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's excellent news. All right, let's pop into the Q&A. Let's see what some of the questions are here. All right, Alette asks, is it bad to touch your eye?
You mean in general? Well, I would say, yeah, right now. And if you want to stay healthy, generally, yes, you shouldn't touch your eye. If you do touch it with your finger, it's not necessarily going to hurt it, that contact. I mean, people put contacts in all the time, so it may be a little bit irritating, but really we're talking about germs and staying healthy. You don't want to be touching your eye too often. So you can, but it's not recommended.
Yeah. All right, Ariana also asked, foam dissolves in liquid. How would you get a small piece of foam or glitter out of someone's eye?
Very good question. I would definitely recommend washing, getting some kind of liquid that you use to spray it out if it's not going to be easy to blink out or to get out naturally.
Very good. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I had a question lined up here, and will Benjamin lose any of his fur due to the tape? The good news is no.
Because this is not really tape. It doesn't stick to him. It's a little bit tight in the way it's wrapped because it has to hold it there, but it's not sticky the way tape is. So it'll come off just like a little, yeah.
This is not sticky at all. This is a material called Coban, and it sticks to itself, but not really to other things. And it's great for, as we've been doing with Benjamin here, keeping a bandage on, keeping pressure on a wound, something like that. And then you can unpeel it, or just go through with a pair of scissors and cut it right off. It's very easy to tear, very easy to cut off, but it also holds tightly.
Okay.
All right. Gayatri, what if your eye is red?
That's a good question.
That's a good question, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, that can be a lot of things. Your eye can be red if you're tired, or it can be irritated for some reason. If you've been rubbing them a lot, they usually get red. If it's really red, there could be some kind of infection, but for the most part, it's just going to be red because of some basic irritation or something like that.
This time of year, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, in America especially,
That's right.
There's a lot of plants that are flowering right now. And when that happens, a lot of pollen goes into the air. And I always notice it because it starts to feel like sandpaper in my eyes a little bit. I can feel little bits of dust and pollen and things like that in my eye, and it can be so tempting to rub it.
Yeah.
And you really don't want to rub it. It's not covered in the materials here, but something I found that helps me personally is I can take like a cool washcloth or a paper towel and run it under cool water, put that on, and the feeling, the desire to itch it does help that go away a bit. Yeah, rubbing it might feel good for a moment, but then it makes it worse a little bit. All right. Anjali asks, if it does not come out at all when you go to the doctor, what do you do then? That's a good question. At that point, your doctor will be directing you on the next best steps to take. Yeah. Okay. So much good questions here, guys. Again, we're not going to be able to get to all of these, but I do want to cover just a couple more. Anjali asked, what do you do if you get grass in your eyes? That's happened. Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to answer that.
Same basic procedure as this. You're going to want to blink to try to see if it just comes out naturally. Your eyes, when your eyes water, that's your body's natural response to get stuff out of there. It's flushing it out of there with your tears. So hopefully it does, and you can just blink. If it's in your right eye, you lean over to the right. Your left eye, you lean over to the left, and hope it just comes out naturally. Follow the steps that we just went over here, and if that doesn't work, do go to the doctor. They will help you out, as Remy did.
And quickly, Milo, you said, what do you do if you get pink eye, that's something you should definitely see your doctor about quite immediately because in that case you also don't want to rub your eyes at all because that's how you can spread it and make it worse. So if you get pink eye, just call your doctor and then don't touch your eyes as much as possible.
Yep. Okay, next up, we're going to be talking about skin poisoning from plants.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with this subject with America specifically. For those of you from around the world, I'm afraid I don't know much about poisonous plants in other regions of the world. But generally what we're going to talk about here, for any kind of poison coming onto your skin from a plant, this will be applicable. Okay, here we go. In many parts of the country, a few plants grow that produce harmful oils in their leaves, stems, and roots. Examples of this are poison oak and poison ivy. When the oils of these plants come into contact with the skin may become blistered and itch and swell for days. This is called a poison oak or ivy rash. It is also just called getting poison oak or ivy, or having poison oak or ivy. People get poison ivy or poison oak by touching the plant or by touching clothing that was in contact with the plant. Sometimes a pet may brush against the poison plant, and then the owner gets it on his hands by petting the animal. This has happened to me a lot. In most regions of the country, there are these plants that grow naturally in the wild. Here's pictures of poison ivy and poison oak. They look very, very similar, but the characteristics that they share in common, the leaves grow in clumps of 3, as you see here, and especially on the right side with the poison oak, it looks kind of shiny. There's an oil on it. It's the same thing for poison ivy there. It just doesn't show up as well in that picture. If you're walking through the woods and you're not sure if something is poison ivy or poison oak, just take a look at it. Does it have leaves of 3 together? There's a little phrase that I was taught as a kid, leaves of 3, let it be. Safer to just not touch it and not risk it. Some people don't have any allergic reaction at all to these oils. Some people have very severe reactions, and the reactions that you get can change through your life. I am more sensitive to poison oak now than I was several years ago, and I hope I don't get more sensitive. I found this useful map. So poison ivy is found in most of the country, as you can see here. All these different types that we're going to be talking about are going to look like these. 3 leaves, shiny. The leaves are very green at the start of the season when they start growing in usually February, March, April is when they're going to start to show the leaves. As the summer carries on and as we approach fall, they tend to turn into a very bright red leaf color. It's very easy to spot them and avoid them. So the eastern poison ivy, you can find it on the ground as like a small plant or shrub growing out of the ground. It'll also climb trees, and the vine will go up a tree, and it could be on the tree, it could be hanging down. Western poison ivy, you'll only find on the ground. Poison oak, which unfortunately looks and acts pretty much the same as poison ivy, is found in less places. The Atlantic, the kind of East Coast side of it, it'll be a vine or a shrub on the ground. Here where we are in the Pacific Northwest, it'll be on the ground and it's a climbing vine. I, out of just necessity, have gotten very good at spotting this in the woods. You notice plants like that, like I'm walking around it, just walk around it. And we'll talk in a little bit, in a few minutes here about what to do if you do come into contact with it. There's one last version of this I'm going to talk about briefly. It's called poison sumac. It only is in the form of a small tree. It's found in wet areas in the sections of the country that you can see on the map right there. It looks pretty much the same as poison ivy and poison oak. 3 leaves together, oily. Okay. We are going to go back to the workbook here. Situation. A person has brushed against or handled poison ivy or poison oak. Here's the steps. Thoroughly wash the affected skin. Your I'm definitely not forgetting to put my glove after this one. Thoroughly wash the affected skin with a strong soap and water as soon as possible. This takes the harmful oil off the skin. Dishwashing soap can work well because it is designed to break down grease and oil. There are also good products such as Technu and Zanfel available at pharmacies that are good at getting poison ivy or poison oak oil off of skin and clothing. Have the person take off any clothes that came into contact with the plants and carefully turn them inside out to avoid getting more harmful oil on his hands. Then rewash any skin that touched the clothes and wash the clothes with laundry soap in a washing machine to get the harmful oil out. If the person breaks out in a rash, he should avoid scratching it. You may apply a soothing lotion, such as calamine lotion, which helps reduce the itching. That last part is the hardest part for me. It itches so bad.
Yeah.
And when you do itch it, it feels so good just for a moment, and then it comes
gets
back
so much worse.
twice as bad. I really hope that most of you watching this have not had it, but if you have had it, you probably know what I'm talking about. So Benjamin here has been out in the woods. He's been working out in the woods, building a fort, because forts are great. But we know that in the area that he was working in, I went out and I saw some poison oak there. Okay, Benjamin, you've had a rough week here, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna wash your hands. Your hands were the and stuff like that were the things that were out that you were working with. Let's wash, wash, wash. I have dishwashing soap here from the sink, the kitchen sink, so we're gonna use that. Again, if you can find at a local pharmacy, there will be specific soaps that say this is for poison ivy and poison oak. Those are great. Yes, Benjamin knows. All right, so we're gonna wash very thoroughly. We've all gotten a lot better at washing our hands in the last few weeks here. Whatever you're gonna do with that, do it double. It doesn't say that in the book. That's just it doesn't hurt to do it double.
Yeah.
The point is you want all that oil off of your skin. Okay, good job, Benjamin. Now, what we're gonna have you do is all the clothes that you're wearing, we're gonna take all those clothes off. These are sewed on,
We can't
so we're
actually
not
do
gonna
that.
take this off, but you would take off all the clothes, turn them inside out so that the oil stays on the inside, much like when I take off these gloves. And we're gonna put them all directly into the washer. I don't put anything else in that load, just the clothes that the person was wearing that might have the poison oak on them. And we're gonna wash that with laundry detergent on hot, get that oil out of there. Now that you're done with that, I'm now gonna have you take a shower.
Okay.
You can take a shower. If you don't have a shower right there, just wash thoroughly and put on fresh clothes. But if you can take a hot shower and in there with soap, clean your body off, that is good.
Woo.
All right.
Nice and fresh.
Good. Now it's been a few days, Benjamin, and I do see that on your arm here, the rash is starting. So we have this lotion that is meant to help with itching and with poison oak. This specific one that I'm holding is called Calagel. A few other brands were mentioned in here. It's in here. Technu and Zanfel. I've used both of those, and those have both helped a lot. So we're gonna put this lotion on there. You definitely don't wanna itch it. You definitely want to let it be as hard as that seems, okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. If it gets really bad and he's just itching, like my son had poison oak last year, and he tried really hard, but sometimes he would forget and he would start to itch it. So we put a bandage on it and covered it with the bandage so that if he went to go itch it, it would remind him, oh, right, I'm not supposed to itch it.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, those rashes go away in anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. Okay.
Is that it for that one?
That's it for that one. Thank you, Benjamin. All right, I'm gonna take these gloves off once again. I'm gonna pinch the outside and pull it up and over. Hold it in this hand. There we go. Okay. Let's get to the Q&A here. All right. Wow, So many messages.
Yeah.
If we don't respond to your messages directly, I do apologize. We're getting hundreds of responses here. I love it. Thank you, guys. What if you get poison oak or ivy in your eyes or anywhere on your face? Adam, great question.
Yeah, I've actually gotten it on my face. I did when I was a kid, and it was rough, but it worked out. You washed it, and I put cream on, and I didn't itch it, and it went away, and my face did get a little swollen. It was just a rough time, so it's a tough period. Won't lie about that, but you will be okay. You don't want to get it in your eyes, though. So if you do think you might have had it, like you've been walking through a trail or out in the woods, something, the smartest thing to do is just don't touch your face at all before you get home and do that whole washing procedure, like even just for caution. So that way, even if it is on your hands or something, you won't spread it to your face. So that's what I would do.
Good answer.
Thanks.
And I was worried one time that I'd gotten it, like some branches had brushed against my face as I was walking. What I did in that case, it doesn't say it here, this is what I did, is I washed my hands very thoroughly. I washed up to my elbow as well with soap. I dried everything off. I washed them again, dried everything off, and then I washed my face with that soap and dried it off. Just I had it before, I didn't want it on my face. So yeah. How long, Anjali asks, how long will the oil stay on your hand? And if you get it, how do you wash it? Okay, good. So we've been talking about how do we wash it. How long will it stay on your hand? Great question. It'll be there until it gets rubbed off or washed off, or I don't know how long it will take for your skin to totally absorb that oil. At least several hours. At least several hours. I'm afraid that's as specific as I can get there. Gayatri says that they've had that many times. Me too. Me too. All right. Anjali asks, how do you know which is which?
Good question.
If it has 3 leaves, safer, just leave it alone. Don't even touch it, walk around it. If it's 3 leaves and shiny, pretty darn sure that is poison ivy or poison oak.
And they both have very similar effects as to what the rash will do. So telling the difference is really cool in terms of knowing about plants and stuff like that. But if you're going to be safe, it won't really matter which one you get. It'll be the similar reaction.
Yep. Emmett with a very good question here. What happens if you eat poison oak or ivy? Unfortunately, that oil that's causing that reaction on your skin, it will have that reaction inside of your body as well. So you definitely don't want to eat any leaves or any plants that you're unfamiliar with. If it does happen, if any of this is getting really bad, and I did have last summer actually, I had some poison oak. It was getting really uncomfortable for me. And I did go to the doctor. There is a medicine that they can give you that can help reduce that allergic reaction that your body is having to it. If you ate it, if you're having any inside issues like that you might think from poison ivy, be from poison ivy or poison oak, see your doctor. They can help walk you through what happened and what's the best step.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Alette, I love this response.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I get really itchy, dancing around and shaking my hand helps.
That's
yes.
so true.
Yes. It gets your mind off of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. What if the oil gets in the dryer? What do you do? Anjali, this is a great question. That's why I'm washing the clothes only, just those clothes, nothing else in there in the washer, on hot and with a lot of detergent in there. And I've never had an issue where that oil has then spread to other clothes in the dryer. So ideally that thorough washing that you're doing in the washer gets all that oil off.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of other questions on here. People asking, what do you do if you get it in your mouth and anything like that? So I think we've covered that. All right. What about mushroom poison? I do want to answer that really quick from Milo. I strongly recommend you don't eat anything that you find out in the woods that's other than food at home, foods that your parents provide for you that come from your home garden perhaps, that's all great. If you're not 100% sure about what a plant is and if it's safe to eat, it's okay to not eat it. It's safer to not eat it. There are so many healthy choices available in stores today and around that luckily we don't have to go searching in the woods for plants to eat. Great. Oh yes, and what if an animal gets it? This will be the last question that we take up on this topic here. I think there's two ways to answer the question. What if the animal themselves, they're having an allergic reaction to poison ivy, poison oak? I'm afraid you're just gonna have to let them work through that. Yeah. Most animals do have fur and that protects them from a lot of this stuff. Yeah. But it can be possible that your cat or dog goes out, runs through the woods, gets some poison oak on them, they come, they rub up against your leg, and now you've got it on your leg.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the animals, they really don't feel it the same way we do because of their fur. But giving your dog a wash, I wouldn't give my cat a wash, but it wouldn't hurt to give your dog a good bath after a long forest hike. You know?
Yep, good idea. All right, we have time for one last topic today. We're going to be talking about sprains.
Okay, good one.
Hey, here you go, Remy.
All right.
Take it away.
Sprains. Okay. A sprain is an injury caused by a joint being twisted or bent in the wrong direction. The joint may swell and become painful for a while. This swelling is caused by extra blood that flows to the area after it is injured. This can make the injury hurt more and heal more slowly. Usually the only first aid needed for a sprain is to get the swelling down. This is done by raising the area of the sprain above the level of the heart so less blood can go there, and then cooling the injury with an ice pack or cold, wet towel, since this also lessens swelling. An ice pack can be made by crushing some ice and holding it in a wet towel, or filling a plastic bag with ice water and sealing it. You can even use a bag of frozen vegetables like peas or corn.
Done that a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one. You should never cool an injury with an ice pack for more than 10 or 15 minutes at a time, or you can further damage the body part. Okay. It's all very interesting. So situation, the person has a sprained ankle. Rest the ankle by not walking on it. Lessen the swelling with an ice pack or cold, wet towels. Wrap an elastic or ace bandage if needed. This will help swelling go down and will protect the joint from more injury. Make sure the bandage is not wrapped too tightly. You should be able to slip your fingers between the bandage and the person's skin. Raise the ankle above the level of the heart to lessen swelling. Get medical help if the ankle continues to hurt or the person can't walk on it. A bone may be broken. Okay.
All right, Benjamin. Looks like your right ankle there, looks like you sprained it. You twisted it pretty good while playing soccer there.
That's a shame. Okay, so we're going to make sure he rests. So do not walk on this. Okay, good. So he's lying down. Good. We're going to lessen the swelling with an ice pack. Lucky for us, we have a nice big.
We're going to be able to use that one.
Yeah, it's this one.
And we'll, sorry about that.
Well, we're not quite there, but yes, we are going to raise it above his head. But first, we're going to cool it. So this is going to be the immediate thing to lessen the swelling while we have it raised. And then you could wrap it, but I think he's all right. You know, this has happened before. He's pretty confident about his recovery process, so he's not going to wrap it. And he's going to keep it raised above his head for as long as he needs to. So let's say some time goes by, and let's see how it feels.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. It's a little sore, but I can walk on it.
Good.
Or that really hurts. Any pressure that I put on it, it really hurts.
Good. So if that's happening, that's a really important thing to note because that means there's something else wrong. You should go see a doctor.
Yep.
Most likely a bone is broken of some sort.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, if the we do have an ace bandage here.
Oh, we do.
So I'm having trouble opening it. There we go. If we did want to open here, I should have read that. If we did want to wrap his ankle here,
which it seems you do.
it seems we do here. As the workbook described there, when you're done wrapping it, you want it not too tight. You want to be able to slip your fingers in between the person's skin and the bandage itself. If we couldn't put our fingers in there, it's too tight. It's going to cut off blood flow past that part of the body, and that's not great. So we wouldn't do that to Benjamin. Okay. There we go.
So
We'll wrap that up later.
What to do with a sprain.
Excellent.
Okay.
We're a minute over time. Okay, let's see some of the Q&A really quick, and then we have to run. All right. Why don't you take
Thank you,
Adam's question?
Anjali. Okay, what would happen if you did not realize you had a sprained ankle and you kept walking on it? It'd be pretty hard not to realize, because it's painful enough that you're not going to want to walk on it. Like it happens, and then you're going to get up the next moment, and you're not going to be able to just walk it off, you know. So it'd be pretty rare that you wouldn't know, I'd say, is my answer.
Yeah, if you're able to walk on it, able to use it, it's not super bad. If you can use it, continue to, but not to a point where it hurts. A couple of nice comments coming in. Ariana says we're super helpful. Thank you. You're super nice. And Anjali says you are such great teachers. Thank you. Thank you very much. Milo with a great question here. What about a sprained wrist or something else? Yes. Any joint on the body, which is a part where a group of bones meets another group of bones. You've got your wrist, you've got your elbow, you've got your shoulder. Anything like that can get sprained. Knees, ankles. We just use ankle because it was a useful description there. Yeah. Your wrist, I think I've sprained my wrist more than anything else in my body. Obviously, you're not going to be walking on your wrist, so that's good. Or if you are, I'm really impressed.
But the same thing still applies that you don't want to put pressure on it. You don't want to use it for much of anything in the first few hours after that.
Yeah, I'm not going to be putting pressure on it to stand up like that. Right. I'm going to get an ice pack from my friend Remy here, put it on there. That helps. I'm going to keep it raised above my heart, which helps keep the swelling down. Mm-hmm. And if it still hurts after, a couple of days and it's not getting better, I'm definitely going to the doctor. Yeah. All right. Benjamin is very helpful too.
He is.
Thank you, Benjamin. Otherwise, we would have had to do all this on Remy or myself, and I'm not a fan of that. So we have one more of these webinars that we're doing around a similar time tomorrow. You can check on delphian.org for the exact schedule of all the webinars happening. Some of the topics that we're going to be talking about tomorrow in our last class are heat emergencies, cold emergencies. What happens if you get too hot or too cold? Mm-hmm. What to do if someone is choking, and what to happen if you get a serious hit to the head. Those are some of the things that we're going to be taking up. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks for staying with us as we went over time. See you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.